What if the world around you, every face you see, every voice you hear, every moment you live, is not a shared reality at all, but a projection of your own mind? What if all you've known, all you've touched and trusted, is woven from the fabric of a solitary consciousness? Not many minds, but one. You alone, truly awake in a sea of shadows. This is the radical, unsettling core of Solipsism. The idea that your mind is the only mind that exists, and that all else, people, places, time, are illusions, dreams within dreams. It's a thought experiment that sounds absurd, yet it stands on unnervingly logical ground. If it were true, what would it mean for your life, your relationships, the very meaning you find in the world? Can you bear to sit with that possibility, not just as an abstract theory, but as the condition you might already be living in? The ancient streets of Athens once echoed with the footsteps of a man who never wrote a single book, yet altered the trajectory of human thought. Socrates. Wandering the Agora, he asked a deceptively simple question. How do you know that? It wasn't a trick, it was a scalpel. Cutting away assumptions to see whether our so-called knowledge could stand on its own, without the crutches of habit or hearsay. Centuries later, Descartes would retreat into the quiet of a stove-heated room, determined to doubt everything, his senses, his memories, even the existence of the physical world. He knew his eyes could deceive him, that dreams could mimic reality with unnerving precision. If sight, sound, and touch could betray him, what was left to trust? From the rubble of doubt, he found one thing that could not be questioned. Cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. A foundation, small but unshakable. But what about everything else? Here the solipsist steps forward, taking Descartes' skepticism to its absolute edge. The only thing you have direct, indubitable access to is your own mind. That mind is private, sealed from all others, cannot peer into another consciousness, nor prove it exists at all. The unsettling conclusion? Everything else, your friends, the stars, the sound of rain on a tin roof, may be nothing more than the contents of your mind. F.H. Bradley put it with brutal clarity. I cannot transcend experience, and experience must be my experience. And Wittgenstein, in his own cryptic way, reminded us that even if others have minds, the language we use to speak of them might be nothing more than a game we invented inside our own heads. Surely one mind couldn't generate the endless complexity of the universe. Every ant, every grain of sand, every note of every symphony, and yet the solipsist leans not on common sense, but on logic. After all, your dreams last night contained whole worlds, just as vivid while they endured. This is not idle speculation. It is an ancient wound in our certainty, one that haunted Greek skeptics, medieval mystics, and modern philosophers alike. What is real? How can we ever be sure? Now look around. Faces blur in the bustle of life, voices weave into the daily music of the streets. But pause. What do you know those faces belong to conscious beings? How do you know those voices are born of inner lives like yours rather than stage props in the theater of your mind? The argument from analogy offers comfort. Others behave like me, therefore they must think and feel like me. But to the solipsist, this is no proof, only imitation dressed as confirmation. Modern neuroscience doesn't rescue us here. Your brain does not hand you the world, it hands you its rendering of electrical signals, colors, sounds, textures. All are translations, not reality itself. And memories, the anchors of your personal truth, are not fixed stones, but shifting sands. They can be edited, reimagined, even fabricated by the same mind that swears to their truth. The past you cling to is a hall of mirrors you keep polishing. So the solipsist presses harder. If every detail of your existence, from the smile of your child to the light of distant galaxies, is experienced only inside consciousness, what grounds do you have to claim there's anything beyond it? Here lies the paradox. Solipsism isolates, it strips away the certainty of other minds, yet it also offers an unsettling intimacy. If the mind is all there is, it is both your prison and your cathedral. The only place you will ever live, and the only place you will ever meet the infinite. Across the centuries, the greatest minds have grappled with this shadow. David Hume dissolved the idea of a stable self, seeing it as nothing more than a bundle of fleeting impressions. momentary sparks stitched together by habit, not necessity. If you are only a pattern in the mind's river, then how much less might the rest of the world be? George Berkeley pushed deeper. Esse est percipi, to be is to be perceived. Unlike the solipsist, he offered an escape hatch, the eternal perception of God. But for those unwilling to invoke the divine, that lifeline dissolves, and the precipice opens again. Wittgenstein tried another path. Language. If words gain meaning only through shared use, then to speak solipsism aloud is to betray it. It's because every word presupposes another mind to hear it. In saying, I, you've already conceded a you. And yet no refutation nails the coffin shut. Each comes with its own price. Invoke God, and you inherit theology. Lean on language, and you assume the very world you doubt. Some suggest perception may be direct, that the mind touches reality as it is. But proving this is like trying to step outside your own shadow. Even science, our modern oracle, finds itself muted. Quantum mechanics hints that observation shapes reality. But whose observation? Yours alone, or the gaze of any consciousness? The question lingers unsolved. Could your mind be the axis on which the entire cosmos turns? Solipsism doesn't have to end in despair. At first glance, it seems the loneliest conclusion imaginable, that everything you see, hear, and love might be nothing more than a flicker inside your own mind. No independent world, no other consciousness, just you, alone in an endless theater. And yet, this very theater is where every joy, every beauty, every act of love unfolds. The smile of a friend, the warmth of sunlight, the awe of a mountain, these are not diminished by doubt. They are real in the only place they could ever be real, your consciousness. If reality is inseparable from perception, you are not merely a spectator, you are the architect. Every thought, every act of kindness or cruelty shapes the texture of the only universe you will ever inhabit. Here the solipsist faces a choice. Treat others as shadows, or as something worthy of compassion. Not because you're certain they exist, but because such compassion shapes you into someone richer, kinder, more coherent. The Stoics saw this not as naivety, but as strength. Living in harmony with nature, not because nature needs it, but because it is the best way for a rational being to live. Believing in other minds then becomes an act of courage, a deliberate leap. You live as if others are real because that, as if, makes a world worth living in. And here's solipsism's great irony. The philosophy that begins by locking you inside the prison of your mind may end by compelling you to reach outward. Not because the bars have vanished, but because reaching is what makes life worth the confinement. From the bustling agora of ancient Athens, where Socrates cornered citizens with unsettling questions, to the hushed lecture halls of modern philosophy, solipsism has lingered like a shadow at the edge of certainty. For over 2 millennia, the sharpest minds have tried to banish it, yet it remains stubborn, like a riddle that refuses to be solved. Descartes, I think, therefore I am, was meant as a foundation, but it left him stranded in the same private chamber of consciousness. Wittgenstein warned that some questions dissolve rather than resolve, yet even his language games could not smuggle us out of ourselves. The truth is this: we will never step outside our own mind. We will never peer directly into another consciousness. We'll never see the world through another's eyes, except as we imagine it. And here lies the beauty. If all experiences filter through our perception, then every bridge we build through words, touch, or silence becomes immeasurably precious. Connection does not dissolve solitude, it illuminates it. Perhaps this is solipsism's strange gift. It strips us of certainty, only to reveal that meaning does not require it. What matters is not that our connections are provable, but that we choose to live as though they are, embracing mystery as the very texture of a life worth living. So, are you the only mind that exists? This question has haunted philosophers from the skeptics of Greece to the idealists of the Enlightenment. Descartes wrestled with it in the silence of his study. Berkeley recast it as the mind of God. Neuroscience brushes against it with every brain scan, yet never pierces the veil. Perhaps the answer will remain forever beyond reach, not from lack of effort, but because it is bounded by the very self that asks. Maybe the real question is not, am I alone? But what will I do with this stage I've been given? In the vast theater of your mind, you are actor, stage, and audience, laughing, weeping, wondering. Every thought is a scene. Every memory, a painted backdrop. Every connection you imagine is a performance you choose to believe in. And the play goes on, rich, strange, endlessly unfolding. Perhaps that is enough. Perhaps meaning is not found in escaping the solitude of consciousness, but in filling it so completely with beauty, with love, with questions, that certainty no longer matters.